Hello, my name is Sue Lewis and I'm going to explain this pack of resources that we've designed for young people to use in the SEND context. So I work at Career Pilot and we've got a contract from the West of England Combined Authority to raise awareness of the green agenda and green jobs. And to do that, we've designed materials for use in mainstream schools, but also in a SEND context. So I'm just going to run you through the materials and hopefully you'll find them useful and can get started using them. So just a few things for you as teachers, which are the key points about the green agenda. So what we're trying to do through the green agenda is raise awareness with everybody about net zero. And what net zero means is the point at which the amount of greenhouse gases we've been put into the environment is equal to the amount that's taken out of the atmosphere. So that means it's net zero. The national picture is that the government is committed to achieving net zero by 2050, and it's anticipated that there will be lots of jobs that are supporting the green agenda, talking about up to 1 million extra jobs by 2050 that are related to green. But in the West of England area where we all live, they're much more ambitious about their targets for net zero, and the intention is to achieve that by 2030, which is 20 years ahead of the UK government agenda. So there's lots of activity about trying to raise awareness. So the anticipation is there'll be 50,000 jobs needed in order to help meet net zero targets by 2030. So what is a green job? Well, a more national definition would be a job that directly contributes to protecting or restoring the environment, as in this one from the Office for National Statistics. However, in the West of England, there's much more general and broad definition. So thinking of a job, any sort of job, looking at the functions, responsibilities, working practices or processes to help reduce emissions, lowering the carbon footprint and protecting the environment. So it's about us all being involved and doing our little bit in whatever way we can to actually help reduce emissions. So what does it mean to be green? It means taking actions to help protect our environment, and all of us need to be involved. So what you have here is a set of resources that we've developed that hopefully would be useful to you. And here I'm just giving you an overview of those slides, and it'll tell you roughly which slides are for what particular thing. But let me go on and show you the slides so you can see what we're offering. So it's under the heading of YB Green. The idea is you just use whatever slides are useful to you. Some might take a whole lesson or might be over in 5 minutes. Just depends on your students and how you want to present it. So this slide is about what is being green. To try to explain that, we have this animation. What is this? An opportunity for students to come up with the answer. Yes, it is the Earth, the planet where we all live. But of course, lots of other things live there too. So I've just identified some of those in pictures, but you might have quite a big conversation about what else needs to be protected on the planet. So how can we all work together to look after these things? And they might already have some ideas or seen things happening in their local environment. So this is what being green is. It's about all of us thinking about the planet and doing our little bit to do as much as we can to protect our planet. So this slide is taking that on a bit, thinking, well, what do we need to do if we want to protect the planet? What needs to happen? And showing that every country needs to be more green, and every region will need to think about that too. And that's where an opportunity to talk about the West of England and how much they're doing to try to be as green as possible and achieve net zero by 2030. But of course, we all need to do our part too. It's all about each individual person. So the next slide is an activity. Again, you can take as long or as little as you want on this. How can you as an individual be more green? So they might have all sorts of ideas. They might be doing things already or seeing other people do them. And then at the end, you can show them some of the ideas we've got on our slide. They'll have lots more potentially as well. But here's some examples of things that people are doing to be more green as individuals. And then we go on to thinking about the things that might be happening in relation to green. And the students can be a green spy. So the idea is they look and see if there's any evidence in their school or the local community of things getting more green. So here's some examples of things they might be looking out for. maybe growing your own vegetables. It could be at home or in school. Maybe come into school on an electric bus, using LED bulbs. Maybe you know there's a source where energy is coming from wind, or maybe you're recycling. There might be other things as well. And to go with this activity is a little task sheet, so students can go out with a teacher, look around the school environment and record what they've spied, and also go out into the community and think of things they've seen already that will help the planet and be more green. But we also want to make the point that you can also be green in any job. Whatever job you get, you can be quite green in that position. So you could be, for example, cycling or walking. You could use a reusable cup, or you can recycle as much as you can, or you can use green products when you can, save energy. Some of the things you could do in any job, but they might have other things as well. So on this activity, they could think about a particular job they might know quite a bit about, have a discussion about that job and what that person does. And then you could put one of those jobs in the centre of a worksheet like this and think, well, what could a hairdresser do to be more green? And there's always notes at the bottom of these slides, so you can have a little look at ideas. You might be using produce that is less bad for the environment. And you could do one for a canteen worker, and there's also a sort of add your own. So you could come up with a job and really think about how that job could be more green, just by doing very basic things. But there are also jobs that are more green, if you like, that are actually involved in protecting the environment. And here's a few examples here. Gardener, and you can have quite a lot of discussion about what a gardener does in order to help the planet or nature. A recycling operative, a forester, an animal care worker. And your students might have some ideas as well of other jobs that are really helping the environment in a very direct way. We also have a green jobs posters, which has got 60 jobs that we've identified that are green and growing in the West of England area. And they're categorised into 6 green sectors that are going to grow. So nature recovery is by looking after our natural habitats and animals and plants. Low carbon transport. Climate resilience, so being prepared for weather events like flooding. Low carbon business, so looking at your business practice and seeing how green you can make it. Renewable energy, low carbon buildings and places, and maybe in the school already there are things happening like solar panels or whatever. So here's some of the jobs that we've identified under those headings. And this is also, if you click on the QR code, you can get to Career Pilot where there's lots of information about these jobs. There's also a version which has got direct links. So this wouldn't be something you'd print out, it'd be something you'd have online. So we just have a suggested activity here where students could pick out jobs they've never heard of before and go on Career Pilot, and there could be a group discussion about that particular job. And when you get onto Career Pilot, there's usually lots of information about the job and also video stories, so you could actually have a look at a few videos about a job. We've also got poster sets. This one is specifically designed for students in a SEND context. There's 10 jobs, and what we're trying to show is how that job helps the planet, what you would need to get into that job, but also what skills could be useful. And these are posters you could print in school, and they'll be available through a separate link to the main resource pack that we're sending out to you. We've also got a set of posters that we use mainly in a mainstream context, but they can be available to you too. And you can see there are some that overlap with the jobs that we've created for the SEND posters. But these have a bit more detail about how you could get into this particular job through post-16 courses or apprenticeships. So your choice about whether you would find those useful. Now we're keen to see your students using these resources, and if you're going towards the Green Champion Award, it would be a requirement that your students have used the resources in some ways and you've sent us a photograph so we can see that that actually happened. But you can also do some of the quizzes we've got here. Maybe they work well with your students, or use whatever you want to. We've just done a few examples. So this is a summary quiz. If you've done some of the slides, you can ask students, what they remembered about what you've been discussing as you've been doing the activities. And this is another little one that's got a few different questions. Which of these people is being more green to help protect the planet? And they make a choice. And that is quite a simple quiz that goes through 3 different questions. But do feel free to make up your own ideas. These are just suggestions, really. So hopefully your students feel they can do something green and help the planet, and will be more informed about this green agenda. So good luck using the resources, and thank you for listening.